And the Los Angeles County coroner has ruled Michael Jackson's death a homicide.
And a designation of homicide, it means that Jackson died at the hands of another, but it does not necessarily mean a crime was committed. So we're taking a closer look at the investigation this morning in a sponsored segment by Philip Mendito, who is sitting next to us right now. How are you?
Good morning, guys.
Good to see you again.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for having me back.
So Dr. Murray, do you anticipate him being arrested anytime soon, and what charges do you think he's looking at?
Before we start, let me preface that I'm a Florida attorney, not a California attorney. But many times in Florida, and I would believe in California also, what the police are doing right now is they're determining whether they have a manslaughter case or possibly a murder case against him. What they'll do is try and put together a case and then submit that to the state attorney's office out in California. I think that could possibly be the case here.
Okay, well, Philip, you said manslaughter, and when the DEA, they raided his office, Dr. Murray's office in Houston, that was a manslaughter investigation, but we're talking about propofol and then 2 sedatives just to get him to sleep. Do you anticipate Dr. Murray's lawyers just saying, this is an accident?
Yeah, that's what they're doing right now because Dr. Murray hasn't been arrested, and that's very, very key. If he had been arrested, the timeline would have started. They need to get a case together and submit that to the state attorney's office. What the police have on their side right now is nobody's been arrested. So they can take as much time as they want to put the case together and then submit that. They're not under a time crunch, which is very vital to them.
Okay.
So it has come out, the drugs that Dr. Murray administered to Michael Jackson the day of his death, during that night. So here, this is the list here. He gave him Valium, he gave him lorazepam, he gave him midazolam, and then more lorazepam, more midazolam, and then 3 hours later he gave him the propofol diluted with lidocaine. I'm not a doctor, I know you're not either. It sounds like a lot to give somebody, right?
Does.
Okay, so now you have that as a defense attorney. You have that. How do you spin that? Because it just sounds to the sort of untrained ear that boy, that doesn't sound good.
Okay, you don't really need motive for this kind of crime as a prosecutor. But both sides are going to be looking at motive for and motive against. If you're a defense attorney, you're going to be saying, this is a doctor that was paid exorbitant amount of money each month. He's got his #1 client here. He wants to keep him alive. He's got no motive, no reason to give him so many drugs that are going to kill him. On the prosecutor side, you're saying, here's an individual that has a client that's saying, I want this thing that he calls apparently milk. And if the doctor doesn't give it to him, he's going to fire the doctor and get somebody else. So that's how they're trying to develop motive.
Philip, I'm wondering if the talking by Dr. Conrad Murray's lawyer is necessary, because right after his death, I mean, I feel like there's been statements released. Is the talking working against him? There's so many statements that we're hearing.
Well, I wouldn't let the doctor do any talking whatsoever. Right. I would be talking as the attorney. But many people think that you defend the case in trial. You don't. You defend it at the very, very outset, the start of the case. So since there's no arrest been made, it's so much easier to get charges downfiled, to get charges dropped completely at the very outset and show them that your client in no way, shape, or form had anything to do with Michael Jackson's death.
Would a defense attorney, if this does go to trial, push for a change of venue, if in fact it would be in Southern California, because obviously Michael Jackson's a huge icon there? Would it obscure Dr. Murray's chances of getting a fair trial if there was a trial in fact held there?
If any defense lawyer felt in any way, shape, or form that the individuals there in that county wouldn't be able to give his client a fair trial, he would definitely move for it. I don't necessarily see that in this case, but possibly that could be.
All right, Philip, thank you so much, as always, for being here. We do appreciate you joining in on
Thank you guys for having me back.
All righty. One of the leading causes of death in Miami-Dade and Broward counties, by the way, are accidental drug overdoses. So just go to our live page to take a look at our drug interaction checker, and that is southflorida.com live.